Miarabantsika rehetra indray tonga soa amin'izao fanaovana évaluation ny volana faharoa ny sokafan'ny pejytsika izao. Mba tsy hoe ho évaluation fotsiny ny ataontsika eto dia lazaiko mialoha ny plan ny zavatra hoenoinao manaraka eto. Voalohany moa mazava ho azy ilay évaluation izay hoe aiza ho aiza ny pejy sy ny mpanaraka. Faharoa, misy vidéo anankiray interview nanasana vehivavy Amerikanina mainty hoditra anankiray. Misy an'izay fikambanana atao hoe Black Infant Health Programme izay aty a Berkeley, California, aty États-Unis izy io. Mazava ho azy moa za zany nisy identifier ny tenako hoe Black Woman dia niditra mpikambana tao anatin'ny fikambanana io. Be dia be ny zavatra nianarako tao ary isany hitako hoe nahasoa ka tiako zaraina amintsika vehivavy malagasy koa. Isan'ny zava-dehibe indrindra tena resana ao anatin'izany ka isan'ny ho resantsika amin'izao vidéo izao koa zany ny atao hoe self care na ny fahaizanao mikarakara ny tenanao. Amintsika malagasy moa matetika dia mihetsiketsika dia mikarakara izy, dikan'izay vehivavy mipôzipôzy, vehivavy bebe zesta mahakarakara ny tenany na tia misakafo na mahakarakara ny hafa. Zay ny atao hoe vehivavy mahakarakara. Fa ity vidéo ity ialako tsiny fa mbola miteny anglisy aloha zany izy no miaraka avy dia publieko amin'ity évaluation ataontsika androany ity, fa ho alefako manaraka eo ihany ny fandikana anazy amin'ny teny malagasy zany miaraka amin'ilay interview. Fa amin'ity vidéo anankiray évaluation ity zany dia mbola le izy amin'ny teny anglisy aloha, fa zay ny famitinako anazy hoe isan'ny nanaitra anahy zany satria zavatra vao nianarako koa ilay izy, vao henoko mihitsy hoe ianao indrindra tsika vehivavy renim-pianakaviana matetika tsika tototra vao mifoha maraina dia mikarakara zanaka dia mikarakara tokantrano dia manenjika miasa, tsy misy fotoana hikarakarana ny vatantsika, ny saintsika, ny émotiontsika, indrindra moa fa ny fiainam-panahintsika indrindra ohatrany hoe ataontsika échappatoire fotsiny ilay mivavaka, ohatrany hoe fanamboniana moral fotsiny ilay mandray andraikitra be amin'ny fiangonana. Fa raha ny tena marina tsy velona tsika, tsy voakarakara tsika mihitsy io tenantsika io, fa variana mikarakara ny hafa foana tsika. Dia fahatelo zaraiko amin'ity vidéo ity zany ohatra tena azo tsapain-tanana mihitsy ao amin'ny baiboly mahakasika ny Marta. Malaza be io tantaran'ny Marta sy Maria io ao amin'ny baiboly ao. Vehivavy anankiroa mpiravavy, Marta le mpikarakara be ny tenany, ohatrany vehivavy rehetrarehetra fière d'être mpikarakara ny hafa moa azafady fa mpikarakara ny tenany. Dia Maria ilay nipetraka teo an-tongotra an'i Jesosy nikarakara ny fiainam-panahiny dia mahazo tsiny tamin'ny rahavaviny ilay nipetraka nikarakara ny fiainam-panahiny. Ohatran'izany koa ny ataontsika vehivavy matetika rehefa misy namantsika mba mikarakara ny fiainam-panahiny fa tsy manao an'ilay fanaontsika mahazatra hoe mila mikarakara ny hafa foana dia mahazo tsiny. Izay ny zavatra fahatelo somary ho velabelarintsika kely ato anatin'ny vidéo. Ary amin'ny farany satria isan'ny zavatra kendren'ny pejy moa zany ny fifampizarana izay mahasoa, dia misy hafatra kely koa mba avy amiko zany mba ampitaina amin'izay zavatra anankiefatra ho jerentsika zay. Voalohany zany ny évaluation ny pejy, faharoa ilay vidéo interview amin'ny teny anglisy momba ny self care, dia ny fahatelo ilay olantsika vehivavy, zava-manahirana antsika vehivavy, ilay alaina sary anohatra avy amin'ny tantaran'ny Marta sy Maria. Ary amin'ny farany dia misy hafatra sy mesazy tiako ampitaina zany mba hianarantsika ao anatin'izay rehetrarehetra zay. Idirantsika avy hatrany ary ilay évaluation ny pejy. Tsara ihany zany ny anaovantsika anazy ity satria lasa mandeha dahoara tsika, tsy misy fivoarana raha tsy miezaka mba manao évaluation ihany ezahana atao isam-bolana. Raha tany amin'ny ampovoan'ny volana Jona tany tamin'ny fetin'ny iray no nisokafana ny pejy dia efa nanao évaluation voalohany antsika. Tany ampovoan'ny volana Jolay, ampovoan'ny volana Jona no nisokatra, ampovoan'ny volana Jolay nanao évaluation voalohany. Amin'izao tsika manao évaluation faharoa. Tamin'ny iray volana voalohany zany raha 10 amin'ny 100 ny follower na ny mpanaraka ny pejy dia efa nitombo 3,7 zany antsika tamin'ity volana manaraka ity, izay no mahatonga antsika hoe 3,5% ny mpanaraka ny pejy zany amin'izao. Ianareo no tena isaorana voalohany indrindra satria raha tsy misy ianareo manaraka na izaho tenako izay tompona andraikitra ny fandaharana, nareo vahiny izay asaina dia mety ho kivikivy ihany, very maina ilay fotoana fa tsy misy miaino, fa noho ny fisianareo mpanaraka ny pejy izay tena hoe maneho mihitsy manao miditra ho follower zany dia tolorana fankasitrahana feno mitafotafo satria endrikana fitiavana zany, endrikana fandraisana andraikitra dia misaotra betsaka anareo. Isaorana lehibe faharoa koa ireo vahiny tsirairay tao anatin'izao volana faharoa izao. Tiako mihitsy moa manonona ny anaran'izy ireo satria tsy ampy ilay misaotra amin'ny ankapobeny fotony raha amiko manokana, fa tena tiako hoe isaorana tsirairay mihitsy zany ianareo rehetrarehetra. Isan'ny vahintsika voalohany tamin'ity volana jolay sy aogositra ity dia ilay pasteur Vehivavy mpitandrina FJKM, pasteur J, misaotra anazy antsika satria nizara teto amintsika teto izy, ny expérience-ny tamin'ny maha vehivavy azy, natao Madagasikara na tany ivelany, nizara amintsika ny maha-mpitandrina féministe anazy izy. Ao amin'ny vidéo numéro 8 zany no misy an'izay. Ny vahiny teto koa isaorana anazy koa ramatoa Zava-manana, nizara ny amin'ny maha-mpanabe féministe anazy, izany hoe mila fanabeazana manokana mihitsy ny reny sy ny zanaka vavy. Ao amin'ny vidéo laharana 7 ao no misy an'izay. Dia nisy vidéo 10 nanasana ny Yaiky sy Yael, mpiravavy moa izy ireo malagasy nefa samy miaramila amerikanina. Tena isaorako be dia be satria isan'ny vidéo be mpijery indrindra zany ity vidéo niarahana tamin'izy mirahavavy ity, satria raha ny vidéo voalohany izay natao teto tamin'ny 2 volana eo amin'ny 82 vues, 2,20 ihany no hitan'ny Facebook amin'ny évaluation hoe nisy mijery, 2,20 ny olona mijery fa tamin'ity vidéo 10 izay niarahana tamin'izy rahavavy ity dia tafakatra 2,000 mahery isika no nijery an'ilay vidéo. Be dia be tsika no nanao partage an'ilay izy. Misaotra anareo tsirairay avy fa tena izay ny zavatra andrasantsika eto amin'ny pejy zany, hoe miparitaka ny hafatra izay ampitaina eto ary indrindrandrindra mba voaraintsika vehivavy. Dia nisy koa moa vidéo anankiray niezahana nizaraina teto amin'ny pejy ihany izy ity, ilay mogli amin'ny teny zanatany. Za moa zany isan'ny hoe nandikan'izy ity sy niaraka nanao ny fandraisam-peo sy ny montagen'ilay izy tamin'ny mpiandraikitra tily tao amin'ny fiangonana loterana malagasy tsara mandroso mahajanga. Efa 5 taona lasa no nanaovanay an'ity zavatra ity, fa ny lasy jobiliny tily fahazato taona moa zany tamin'ny nandalo tamin'ity volana ity, dia isan'ny namelombelona an'ilay antso dia tadidiko amin'izay hoe mbola any tokoa ity vidéo ity fampiasainay fampijerena ny lovitao ao amin'ny fivondronanay izy ity nandritra n'izay 15 taona izay. Hoe inona moa ilay tantaran'ny mogli niezahana nadika amin'ny teny gasy, tsy hoe teny gasy fotsiny fa teny zanatany majunga izy io dia nitazominay ho anay ihany satria moa misy tsy fahatomombanana be dia be. Ny zava-dehibe taminay zany dia hoe afaka ianon'ilay lovitao amin'ny teny gasy ilay tantara fa tsy ilay teny français foana, indraindray tsy azon'ilay ankizy. Dia mba nahafaly ahy koa ny nizarana azy tato amin'ny pejy, sady ao anatin'ny ezaka hoe mba fampahafantarana an'ilay fisian'ilay pejy zany, mba hampitombo misimisy kokoa antsika manaraka ny pejy, mba hampitombo misimisy kokoa antsika higoka ny vokatra tsara izay zarana ato amin'ny pejy. Dia nizarana koa zany ity vidéo ity, dia misaotra antsika maromaro antsika no efa nandefa hafatra miafina hoe za mba mangataka an'ilay vidéo feno, satria amin'ny Facebook moa zany misy resaka droit d'auteur izy io, dia misy tapatapaka eny anelanelany eny ilay hira misy tompony, ilay feo misy tompony, dia tsy feno zany ilay izy amin'ilay zaraina eto amin'ny Facebook, fa misy version eo amin'ny 800 méga eo ho anao izay liana te hahazo an'ilay version, tsy ho an'ny skoty ihany na ny lovitao ihany, fa mino fa ny zazakely malagasy maro mety tia mijery an'ity koa. Ny anay moa ny ankizy rehetrarehetra izay nampijereko anazy moa zany ankoatra ny lovitao dia hitako hoe liana daholo dia mbola tsy tara anao fa mandritra nyity fankalazana fahazato taona nyity leto Madagasikara ity zany amin'ity taona 2024 ity efa bolana sisa septembre, octobre, novembre, décembre dia alefako maimaim-poana aminao zany lien afaka itelechargevanao an'ity mobile teny gasy ity raha mahaliana anao. Zay ny évaluation générale ny vita tao anatin'izay iray volana zay. Ny antony évaluation moa zany tsy hoe jerena fotsiny dia izay zany fa anatsarana indrindrandrindra koa ny hoavy hoe ahoana ny anatsarana ny iray volana manaraka indray. Dia isan'ny sosikevitra zany hanatsarana ny iray volana manaraka dia hisorana n'ilay vehivavy anankiray izay nanosokevitra sady hizara amintsika eto sahady izy ny expérience marobe niainany hoe andao izy ity satria be dia be zany ireo vehivavy indrindra izay efa natao interview teto no tsapa fa manana zavatra be dia be tiana hozaraina nefa noho ny amin'ilay fotoana sy ilay noho ny connexion antsika mba tsy ho borekotsika hoe lava be ilay fampianarana dia ezahana fintinina anatin'ny fanontaniana 3 na 4 ao anatin'ny 30 minitra foana zany ny interview mba tsy ho monamonaina antsika nefa ireo vehivavy nasainareo ny akamaroany moa zany dia miteny hoe mbola mazoto hiverina eto hizarana izay mahasoa ny vehivavy. Dia ny sosikevitra zany sy andeha ho ataontsika indray mandritra manomboka amin'izao volana fahatelo izao dia hatao en série indray zany ny fifampizarana izay atao eto zany hoe misy olona anankiray izay efa nizara teo aloha zany zavatra spesifika anankiray ho fanatsarana ny vehivavy dia hizara isam-bolana eto zany izy thème samihafa efa anankitelo zany amin'ireo le efa nizara taloha ireo no efa nifampiresahana efa nanaiko hoe hanao an'izay fifampizarana amin'ny isambolana izay dia tsy ho gaga antsika hoe verimberina isam-bolana zany ireo vehivavy nahita expérience samihafa teo amin'ny fiainan'ireo ataontsika interview ato hizara ny karazana expérience hafa izay efa hitany koa. Dia any amin'ny farany ozy afaran'izao afatrafatra rehetrarehetra ho resahako izao dia ho alefako eo ilay vidéo interview amin'ny teny anglisy ny fampizarana tamin'ilay vehivavy amerikanina. Isan'ny zavatra tena hitako hoe azo raisina ao anatin'io vidéo nizaraina io zany ny mahakasika n'ilay hoe ilaintsika vehivavy ny mahafantatra ny olantsika ary isika vehivavy no tokony ho voalohany hitady vahaolana ho antsika aloha. Isan'ny hozaraina miaraka amin'ireo fifampizarana mitohy ireo koa mandritra n'ity volana vaovao ity za zany hiezaka hizara satria tamin'ny iray volana voalohany nizara vidéo 3 be izao ny fampahafantarana an'ilay pejy dia rehefa tonga ny volana faharoa izay anaovako an'izao évaluation izao izay ilay mahatsara an'ilay évaluation dia tsy karitra kay moa za tsy nizara ninona tamin'ity volana ity dia teo koa zany no nahatonga sosikevitra ny tsiro hoe andeha koa mba hozaraiko koa ireo zavatra be dia be momba ny vehivavy izay efa nahaliana hatramin'izay moa ka isan'ny nahatonga nanokatra an'izao pejy izao hoe hozaraina amintsika koa zany ireo fikarohana nataoko fa tiako hitariana ny saintsika aloha. Tena isan'ny nanaitra anahy zany fikarohana farany nataoko tamin'ity taom-pianarana ity. Raha jereko averiko vetivety amin'ny tantara araka ny efa nilazaiko tany amin'ny vidéo voalohany isan'ny nanosika na hianatra teolojia satria za mpianatra tany amin'ny informatika no nilomano tao amin'ny sehatra nahatsapako hoe kay ve ny vehivavy zany voafehife amin'ny zavatra hafa indrindra fa amin'ny fiangonana dia nanapa-kevitra zany hoe hoajanoko angamba ho aty informatika ity satria tsy dia passionko loatra ilay izy za moa zany tena tsoriko hoe rehefa afaka baka tamin'izany tsy mbola tena nanomana hoe inona ny andeha ataoko fa nataoko 27 deboka teny fotsiny ny concours dia nanao concours farany izay sarotra tany amin'ny école nationale d'informatique dia isaorana an'Andriamanitra fa afaka somatsara na vita somatsara ny fianarana tany fa tsapako tao anatin'ny fianarana sy fanaovana stage zany hoe toa tsy tena mifanaraka loatra amin'ilay zavatra lasa mahamotive anakahy zany hoe isika vehivavy zany ilay fianarana informatika fa aleoko aho za hianatra teolojia dia ao ano andalina misimisy kokoa ny momba an'ilay vehivavy. Dia nanomboka première année tany amin'ny séminaire théologique paritany Loterana Atsimon'ny Avoko Atsirabe no nianatra, dia efa io resaka vehivavy io foana ny ataoko rehefa devoir, rehefa manao fikarohana soratra masina raha vao au choix zany dia efa resaka vehivavy foana ny tiako. Roa taona moa ny fianaranay tany, tsy misy hoe fanoratana mémoire sy ny tariny, fa avy eo nanao fianarana, nanao licence en théologie amin'izay tany amin'ny sekoly ambony Loterana momba ny théologie, tao fianaran-tsoa nandritra ny 3 taona, dia nisoratako tamin'ny lisansiko amin'izay zany satria teo afaka nanoratra ankoatra ny devoir samihafa izay fatoantenantenany iny zany ezahako hoe makany amin'ny resaka fikarohana momba ny vehivavy foana, dia isan'ny nikarohako zany ilay hoe mahaendrika Andriamanitra ny vehivavy manoloana ny patriarkalisme. Teo zany no isan'ny tena nampiredareda amin'izay tao anatin'ny foko, satria niana zava amiko zany hoe ity patriarkalisme ity izay mametraka ho ambony kokoa ny fitondran-dehilahy sy ny hierarchie ara-taona no isany mahatonga nyity mahaendrika Andriamanitra ny vehivavy ity ho takona eo amin'ny fiarahamonina patriarkaly. Ho zaraiko amin'tika zany amin'ny volana manaraka ny ambangovangonyzany fikarohana izay nataoko zany. Dia avy eo rehefa vita ny 3 taona tany fianaran-tsoa, dia nanohy fianarana théologie foana koa, nanao master tany amin'ny Vida Norvège, dia mbola resaka hoe momba ny gender justice indray zany no nanaovako fikarohana manokana, zany hoe misy karazana taridalana iraisam-pirenena navoaka ny fiombonan'ny fiangonana Loterana eran-tany zany, efa nampiasaina fiangonana maro tamin'ny firenena maro io taridalana io, dia isan'ny nikarohako amin'izay koa zany hoe ohatrany ahoana ny tokony ampiasana anazy amintsika fiangonana malagasy. Fiangonana Loterana malagasy moa mazava ho azy tamin'izay no nisy dia nanaovako an'ilay fikarohana, fa tao anatin'ny fanaovana an'ireo anankiroa ireo zany no tsikaritako hoe vitsy kely ny olona liana hanao fikarohana momba ny vehivavy malagasy, ary ny tena mampalahelo sy zavatra tsikaritrako tiako anaovana antsoavo antsika eto dia izao hoe na itsika vehivavy malagasy tena tsika kay tsy mba liana akory hijery ny zavatra manahirana antsika sy hitady vahaolana ho antsika amin'izany. Dia tamin'ity taona ity nisy cours anankiray nataoko ity, mbola nanohy master en théologie indray mandeha zao aty Amerika, dia misy matière anankiray izay afaka hisafidiananao izay recherche tianao atao zany dia nanao fikarohana tamin'ny thèse-na doctorat rehetrarehetra tamin'ity bibliothèque en ligne anankiray ity zany zany hoe nisy thèse 327 niampy 920 zany hoe eo amin'ny 1000 thèse-na doctorat eo zany, thèse-na doctorat eo amin'ny 1000 eo izay mahakasika ny Madagasikara sy ny malagasy nijereko tsirairay mihitsy ny titre sy ny mpanoratra anazy ireo. Dia ny zavatra mampalahelo dia izao hoe tsy ampy 2 isan-jato 13 sur 1000 amin'ireo thèse-na doctorat na en ligne na fizika misy amin'ity fiombonana séminaire théologique isan'ny lehibe indrindra aty Amerika aty ihany no miresaka momba ny vehivavy malagasy. 2 isan-jato ny mpikaroka. Ny olona aty ivelany zany vao maheno hoe Madagasikara zany dia ilay tontolo iainana, ilay biby lémurien, vao maheno Madagasikara Madagasikara, ilay dessin animé Madagasikara, ilay biby sy zava-maniry mahafinaritra tsy misy afa-tsy any Madagasikara, izay ihany no fantatra ny olona. Hozy ny olona Madagasikara zany dia tena firenena mahafinaritra be, nefa antsika isan'ny firenena gisitra mahantra indrindra eran-tany, ary isan'ny victime lavitra noho ny lehilahy marobe mahantra ao anatin'izany ny vehivavy mahantra any Madagasikara. Dia tena ny concrétiseko tamin'ity fikarohana nataoko ity zany fa ireo resaka momba ny biodiversité, environnement, ny kolotsaina, ny finoana, ny politika, ny fampianarana sy ny tantara no mahaliana ny olona momba ny Madagasikara, fa zany vehivavy malagasy zany tsy misy liana manao fikarohana momba azy afa-tsy reto 3 izay efa nanomboka tany amin'ny taona tamin'ny andro misionera no nanomboka nanoratra voalohany momba ny hoe vehivavy malagasy. Fa isika tena vehivavy malagasy tamin'ireo 30 ireo tsy misy na dia vehivavy malagasy anankiray aza mba nikaroka sy nijery vahaolana ho antsika vehivavy malagasy tompony. Dia amin'ny mahafikaroana akademika anazy zany lasa problematika le izy satria atsika tompony tsy manoratra, tsy mikaroka, tsy mijery vahaolana ho antsika. Dia isan'ny zavatra tiako zaraina koa zany ireo rehetrarehetra ireo anatin'ity volana manaraka izay ho avy ity. Farany amaranako azy mba tsy ho lava loatra dia tiako ny maneho antsika n'ity sary anankiray ity zany izay hitako hoe maneho an'izany toe-tsainantsika vehivavy tsy miraharaha ny momba ny tenantsika zany, ary eo ihany ilay tsy miraharaha fa ny tena loza mbola tsy manohana an'izay miraharaha sady manome tsiny koa aza ilay miraharaha ny tenany antsika samy vehivavy. Be dia be ny lesona azo tohana avy amin'ny tantaran'i Marta sy Maria ty ao amin'ny baiboly ao fa ny tiako ampitana amintsika androany dia izao hoe raha mijery an'ity sary ity tsika dia Jesosy moa zany rehefa mandeha izy na mivahiny an-tranon'olona izy na mandeha mampianatra sy ny tariny dia miaraka amin'ireo mpianatra ny lehilahy 12 foana izy. Ary araka an'izao sary izao zany dia rehefa nampianatra izy dia ilay mpianatra mihaino anazy eo miaraka mijery rehetrarehetra tao an-tranon'i Marta sy Maria. Izy vehivavy mipetraka zany mianatra tamin'ny kolontsaina jiosy rahateo moa zany ny lehilahy ihany manomboka 12 taona no ampianarina fa ny vehivavy tsy nahazo mianatra teo amin'ny tontolon'ny jiosy talohan'ny andron'i Jesosy. Fa nanomboka teo amin'ny Jesosy zany no navelany mianatra niaraka tamin'ireo lehilahy ireo amin'izay ny vehivavy. Afaka nipetraka niaraka tamin'ireo lehilahy ireo teo zany Maria, na dia tsy azo atao zany teo amin'ny kolontsaina jiosy dia nipetraka izy mba niaino sy nianatra koa. Tena mampalahelo dia izao raha vavy kibo raika aminazy ihany hoy izay boaka Majunga mahay kibo raika izay i Marta no nanome tsiny anazy hoe Jesosy dia avelanao mipetraka fotsiny miaino anao eo zany ty rahavavy ty fa tsy mba teneninao hoe avia nampy anakay hikarakara sakafonareo an-dakozia. Tsy nasiany resaka mihitsy ireo lehilahy mipetraka fotsiny miaino ireo sy karakarain'ireo fa izy vehivavy ihany no variana te hikarakara ny hafa foana fa tsy mba mahay mikarakara ny tenany na mampianatra ny tenany tahaka ny Maria mipetraka miaino miara-mianatra amin'ny lehilahy. Inona no tiako ampitaina ao anatin'izany? Zava-misy iainantsika io fa izao raha kristianina anao dia Jesosy dia miteny mafy an'i Marta hoe berena loatra anao. Tsy ratsy ilay mikarakara. Tsy nanome tsiny ny fikarakarany Marta mihitsy Jesosy. Tsara ilay toe-potsika vehivavy sy volonténtsika te hikarakara ny hafa foana. Fa izao izy tsara kokoa ny an'i Maria mihaino an'ilay tenin'Andriamanitra ho raisiny izy tenany aloha, iainany izy tenany aloha. Izay vao afaka hikarakara ny hafa izy. Fa ny fahavoazantsika indrindra antsika kristianina izay efa zatra mandray andraikitra amin'ny fiangonana, za isan'izany 15 taona za dia efa voantsom-piandraikitra lovitoa, tsy mahita fotoana mihitsy mba hipetrahana, mba hiaino hamoky ny fiainam-panahy, hianatra, hanatsara ny fiainana, mba hisainana izany hoe inona tokoa moa izany ny tena manahirana anakahy ka tokony ho vahako aloha. Izay za vao hirotoroto hitady vahaolana ho an'izao rehetrarehetra izao. Tsy dia ananantsika vehivavy loatra izay toetra izay ka isan'ny ampatsiahivin'ny video amin'ilay interview amin'ny teny anglisy rehefa avy eo ary tiako amafisina sy ampatsiahiviko amin'izao video izao koa hoe tsara antsika vehivavy ilay mikarakara manompo ny hafa fa tsara kokoa hozy Jesosy raha mba mahay mipetraka koa alohantsika, mamoky ny saintsika, mamoky ny fiainam-panahintsika, mba makareraka koa io ainantsika io mandray aloha izay vao afaka mizara. Fa misy atsika, indrindra atsika izay ataoko hoe mpitoriteny, le toriteny iaintsika iny avy dia efa ketriketrika tsika hanomanako toriteny manaraka zany fa tena ao tsara mihitsy. Tsy voaraitsika akory, tsy nohanitsika akory, tsy namelona tsika akory ilay teny fa avy de fa faly andeha hipasy an'ilay izy fotsiny atsika de lasa ohatran'ny Marta hoe berena amin'ny fikarakarana sy fizarana fotsiny fa tsy mba mahay mikarakara ilay self care. Zay ho zaraintsika amin'ny vidéo rehefa avy eo. Anasako anao aloha izay afaka miaino sy manaraka mahazo amin'ny teny anglisy fa ho zaraiko izy amin'ny za ihany moa niezaka nandika an'ilay izy amin'ny teny gasy dia ho zaraintsika tsy ho ela rehefa vonona zay. Farany ary 4 ampitaiko amin'izao évaluation sy ataontsika voalohany izao dia izao hoe tsika vehivavy dia natirantsika mihitsy indrindra tsika vehivavy malagasy manomboka mbola kely dia efa ampianarina mikarakara pôpety. Mahafinaritra ilay toetrantsika tia mikarakara ny hafa fa iza no mba mikarakara anao? Iza no mba mijery hoe mba misy miaino ve anao? Mba misy manao masazy ve anao rehefa reraka? Mba misy miara-mandinika aminao ve hoe inona nga ny zavatra tianao atao? Ahoana ny fomba mba hikarakarako anao? Efa tsy dia misy zany eo amin'ilay fiarahamonina patriarkaly misy atsika atombohy aminao tenanao fa aza miandry hafa anao. Aty ivelany moa tena za moa dia manararoatra mihitsy aloha zany raha mbola azoko atao hoe misy an'izany hoe spiritual director zany aby raha afaka miara-mandinika aminao hoe aiza ho aiza ny fiainam-panahinao, aiza ho aiza ny fivoaranao ara-panahy, aiza ho aiza ny fahitanao an'Andriamanitra eo amin'ny fiainanao. Misy olona manampy anao io fikambanana izay nataoko interview ny tompon'andraikitra ny tena nanomana fetiny reny hoe mila ankalazaintsika ny mahareny atsika fa isan'andro atsika mitotototo mikarakara ny ankohonantsika. Androany ozy ny fikambanana dia mipetraka anareo reny mizaraina cadeau zay nomena sakafo zay na andia zay mikarakaraina mihitsy ny hoe mila karakaraina koa nareo reny. Ao anatin'ny fikambanana io misy an'izany hoe zumba, misy fifampizarana momba ny fahasalamana, momba ny fitezana, mba manampy an'ilay reny zany, mba misy plateforme tena natao hikarakara antsika vehivavy koa fa tsy hoe hikarakara foana atsika. Tena lehilahy karakara atsika ary tsy mahatapa hoe mba tokony hikarakara atsika koa. Fa izao tsy afaka karakarainao ny tenanao raha tsy hainao aloha inona ilay manahirana anao, inona ilay zava-manahirana anao, maka fotoana mandinia tena, inona ny ilain'ny vatako reraka zany, inona ny mba ilain'ny saiko mba mamaky boky, mba mihaino fampianarana, mba manatrinatrika exposition sy ny tariny fa tsy dia ao milona an-dakozia ao foana na any amin'ny bureau any foana dia reraka dia mody an-trano dia matory dia rapitso maraina mihazakazaka an'izay andeha hiasa. Maka fotoana na Andriamanitra namorona ara na niala sasatra izy mipetraka naka aina na Jesosy izay zanak'Andriamanitra sady Andriamanitra io ara misy fotoana izy lasa aloha izy raika makany an-tendrombohitra avelany eo ny mpianatra, avelany eo ny olona, mila miretablir an'ilay connexion ananany amin'Andriamanitra rainy aloha izy maka aina, mamerina energia. Fa itsika vehivavy mieritreritra antsika tena mafy be. Tapako io nisy fotoana koa tafasara toerana 2 taona zanako mbola taona navela tany Madagasikara nandritra ny fotoana nianarako taty ivelany. Tena marary io. Dia nataoko fanafody ilay miasa be, mandeha manompo olona, manompo fiangonana. Fa rehefa mody ianao amin'ny hariva, tsisy mikarakara anao, reraka anao, tsy hoe very maina sanatria tsy foana tsy akory ny fikelezan-tsaina amin'ny fanompoana, fa ilaina hozy Jesosy tiavany namanao tahaka ny tenanao zany hoe mila tiavinao koa io tenanao io. Magaga ny tsy lazainy hoe tiavany namanao fotsiny na hoe tiavany namanao ambony noho ny tenanao fa tahaka ny tenanao zany hoe mila anao koa mikarakara ny tenanao, tsy hoe andeha hitady zava-manahirana izao olona rehetrarehetra izao anao dia hitady vahaolana ho anazy nefa ny anao tsy fantatrao, tsy anananao fotoana hamahana anazy, tsy anananao fotoana hitadiavana olona nampy anao haman'ilay zava-manahirana anao. Amin'ity évaluation ity zany dia isan'ny hafatra tiako ampitaina amintsika vehivavy hoe jereo koa ny filanao, io vatanao io misy filany, io sainao io tsy apatoriana be mandro betro vendrana donto be eo fotsiny ianao ao an-trano ao, fa sokafo ny sainao. Tsy voatery mianatra any amin'ny université na any an-tsekoly, mamaky boky, mijery fandaharana manokatra saina, manaraka fifampizarana ohatran'izao mba manintona anao hiatsara kokoa. Ny fiainam-panahy moa indrindrandrindra na kristianina anao na silamo anao na mino inona anao na mino inona nanamboaran'Andriamanitra antsika tsy feno antsika olombelona raha tsy miaraka salama vatana, salama saina, salama koa ny fiainam-panahinao, ny spiritualiténao. Satria ny olona marary saina dia efa tsy olona feno, ny olona marary vatana na kilemaina olombelona feno izy fa misy fahabangana. Izany hoe raha manko koa ny fiainam-panahinao, tsy mba jerenao mihitsy ny fivoaranao fa mamono tena mitotototo amin'izao rehetrarehetra izao fotsiny ianao. Tsy feno koa antsika vehivavy, tsy mahazatra ny tontolo patriarkaly misy antsika averiko ihany ny mba mikarakara antsika vehivavy, atomboantsika amintsika tenantsika, ny karakarantsika. Aza miandry ny hafa na manome tsiny ny hafa fotsiny fa karakarao ny tenanao dia aza tia tena. Rehefa mahatsiaro hoe mba fanomen'Andriamanitra olona za zany, nomen'Andriamanitra fikambanana za misupporter anakah, mampianatra anakah hikarakara ny tenako, nomen'Andriamanitra spiritual director za manampy anahy manao évaluation ny fiainam-panahiko, dia mba itiako avonina hanampy anareo vehivavy namako koa mba hiara-igokan'izany tombotsoany mahendrik'Andriamanitra feno antsika vatana, saina, fanahy, fo, émotion, maha-olona feno antsika zany koa. Ary ny tena lehibe indrindra dia hialao satria na Jesosy aza dia miteny mafy, aza mifanome tsiny isika samy sika vehivavy. Ndao tsika hifanampy, ndao tsika hifanohana, ndao tsika hifampitantana, hifampahery mba hiarahantsika mandroso. Fa rehefa miaraka mifammpahery sy miaraka mandroso antsika dia hanampy antsika koa ireo lehilahy ireo, satria araka ny vidéo izay hozaraintsika rehefa avy eo, raha vitanao anie ny rehetrarehetra dia tsy tsapan'ilay lehilahy miara-monina aminao intsony hoe mila fanampiana kay ianao, fa hozy izy kay efa vitany daholo ny zavatra rehetrarehetra, tsy voatery hoe intention négative ho anazy hoe te handrodroka anao ao izy fa indraindray ianao tsy mi-exprimer hoe mba mila fanampiana za, mba mila fitiavana za, mba mila fikarakarana za, ohatran'izao no mba mahafalifaly anakah, mba atovy amiko, mila miteny an'izany antsika, fa tsy dia mikarakara foana dia reraka dia mandra-pialantsika eto ambonin'ny tany eto dia tsisy mikarakara mihitsy antsika vehivavy. Dia aza mbola miala anao arao ary ny vidéo interview amin'ny teny anglisy izay manazava amin'ny antsipiriany izany hoe tokony hikarakarantsika ny tenantsika zany, ny tokony hametrahantsika fepetra momba ny fifandraisana amintsika, fa tsy hoe izay tian'olona atao amintsika dia atao amintsika, manomboka mbola kely antsika dia tsy mba ampianarina misafidy mihitsy fa dia pilorana foana izay ny an'ny vehivavy, ny lehilahy no manapa-kevitra ho anao dia ianao tsy mahazo mamaly, tsy mahazo mitaraina, tsy mahazo mitady vahaolana hafa fa dia manaraka fotsiny isan'ny santionany zavatra mahaliana sy ny anarako ka tiako mba hozaraina aminao koa mba hanatsaranao ny fiainanao amin'ny maha-vehivavy anao zany amin'ny interview manaraka eo. Dia misaotra anao sahady nanaraka, aza adino ny mba manao j'aime sy manao mpanaraka ny pejy mba ho maro kokoa ny olona mahita an'izao fifampizarana izay hifanaovantsika izao. Misaotra tompoko. Hi, Sandra, and thank you very much again for accepting to share the American women experiences in our Facebook page. So welcome to our page. Would you please introduce yourself and the organization you represent?
My name is Sandra, and I work with the City of Berkeley Public Health Department Black Infant Health Program. And there I am the senior community health worker.
Okay, would you give us more explanation about the Black Infant Health Program and how is it related to women?
Sure. So Initially, let's start here. Black women, African American women, their babies are born too soon and too small.
Mm-hmm.
So they created a program to target African American women and have various health topics in a group model. So I thought that this was happening because women did not, or African American women did not go and get prenatal care early enough in their pregnancy. That's a factor. But what is really happening is that because we face so much racism and discrimination, sometimes it's not being in healthy relationships. Sometimes it's um, it's just all of those things that happen, right? Sometimes you're not working, you know, housing and everything is really expensive. So all of those things all together cause a lot of stress in our bodies in particular. And
Mm-hmm.
so the stress constricts blood flow, and that's what makes our babies born too soon and too small. So the program wants to bring about awareness to these issues with African American women. And it's not just African American women. If it is a woman of ethnicity that moves out to the States, the United States,
Mm-hmm.
when she is here after a while and starts to have children, the same thing happens to her because she then faces racism, discrimination, and, you know, low income, no resources. So the same thing starts to happen to her. So Black Infant Health, we meet with our pregnant and postpartum women on Wednesdays
Mm-hmm.
and Fridays on Zoom. And we talk about these issues, healthy relationships, self-care, taking better care of yourself, postpartum depression, and how to take care of yourself after you have a baby, breastfeeding, pregnancy and nutrition, again, healthy relationships. Talk about all these things, racism, discrimination, and how it affects us. What can we do, right? Because we can't do anything about how people view us as a people, but we can educate ourselves so that when we're going to our doctor's appointments, we have questions. We know how to advocate for ourselves. We know what kind of questions to ask around our pregnancies and being postpartum. So we just want to empower the women with information and advocacy and knowledge about these things that are happening to us in particularly. Even African American women, during their birth, they die more than any other woman in the hospitals. Oftentimes they die more.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that is why we have a program there, and also program we try to supply diapers and infant clothing and gift cards, you know, just to help with some of these hardships that women have.
Mm. Well, most of our audiences are Malagasy people. We don't really have knowledge about this classification in the American society. Would you please explain what is a Black African woman and women of ethnicity before we go forward?
So our program is for African American women. So
Mhm.
if you identify as African American, if you identify as African in that diaspora, that is who our program is for.
Mhm. So African American or all the Black American, or how do you like define it?
Well, we define it as we define it how you define it. So if a Black woman comes into our program and she says, "Well, I'm African American," if a woman comes to our program that is ethnically mixed, maybe she's Caucasian, and African American.
Mm-hmm.
If she identifies herself as African American, she qualifies. If a woman of African descent, of the diaspora, if she comes to us and she says, well, I'm of African descent, she qualifies. Because again, if she is in the United States, this same thing can start happening to her children within a matter of a year. And it's because of how much racism we experience and discriminate, and the equity. There's the health equity is really not fair and level for African women and African American women.
Okay, so in general, do you think there are differences in the challenges African American women face compared with the white American women?
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. Again, the health equities and disparities are the highest percentage with our brown and Black women.
Mm.
And so what that means is that because we face a lot of these adversities, the health equity and the disparities are higher with us. That means that oftentimes, African American women may smoke more. They have more health issues because it also has to do with demographics and where you live. So if we're living in certain areas that have a lot of corner stores with potato chips, right? The saltiness or the sweets and the soda pops, and we don't have readily accessible means to get to fresh fruits and vegetables, healthier foods, and instead we just go to the corner stores, that affects our health. And it makes our percentages for having health issues higher than any other woman.
Mm. Okay, so would you share with us how the Black infant health help these Black women? What activity are you doing, and how do you think it helps Black women?
So again, what has been proven is that group models work.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have is a group model, meaning we have group meetings and group sessions with our pregnant and postpartum women. They come together and we do it on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm.
And since COVID has happened now, sometimes we will do the meetings on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
But to the most part, we come together and we will have a health session. So that session, for example, may be healthy relationships. Because sometimes when you are in something, you can't always identify it, right? Until you hear something about it where you say, oh, I am in an unhealthy relationship,
Mm-hmm.
right? So sometimes your attention has to be brought to um, um, an issue for you to really realize this is a problem. We talk about self-care, and maybe when we talk about self-care, we'll give suggestions, right? We may say, make sure you get fresh air, make sure you drink, water, and make sure you try to eat vegetables or fruit every day, right? And so with the tips that we give,
Mm-hmm.
the women start to think, you know what? I sure don't drink enough water. I don't take walks like I should, or and get some fresh air,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that is how it helps. You have to bring the awareness first, and then you can empower the women by giving them the information.
Mm-hmm. So, what information can you share about an unhealthy relationship? Because maybe most of the women don't even recognize, as you said, I am in an unhealthy relationship. So, what kind of relationship do you define as unhealthy, and how should women overcome this?
Well, there are some basics to being in a healthy relationship. But it is also subjective, meaning that it's something that you have to define for yourself as well. But the basic part of it, of course, is if you're feeling respected, right? Are you feeling supported? How is the communication? Are you able to communicate your thoughts and your feelings? Are they being received by whoever your partner, whoever it is you're in a relationship with? And when we say healthy relationships, we're not just talking about an intimate partner. We're talking about healthy relationships with your children, healthy relationships, with your, we'll just say, family members, right? And so when you're talking about fostering a healthy relationships, there are basic components to that. Compassion, right? Do you feel heard and understood? Right? So those are just some basic, do you feel loved? Some things you have to define on your own. You have to define what intimacy is for you. Right? We can talk about it, but you have to define what that means for you. Respect should be a part of a healthy relationship, but you have to define what is respectful and what is disrespectful for you, right? Because that can differ with different women.
So my question is now, when the women get this information and define their own level of respect, support, communication they need, how to deal with it if their partners or their family don't understand it, how then to share it with the people with whom they are in relationship?
Well, two things happen. One of the things that happens is what we call me time, and that's a one-on-one meeting. So that means that outside of the group meeting, you would make an appointment with one of the staff members, and it's a one-on-one time. And so you may say something like, the communication is not good. They're not hearing me. They're not listening to me, right? For example. And we can give you like pamphlets, that will talk about those things that you can share. We can give you some little things to try. One of the things that we try is something called I statements. An I statement, for example, is when this happens, I feel like, right? Or it makes me feel like. When you yell at me, it makes me feel disrespected. I feel disrespected, right? And the reason why you want to use I statements is because you want to make sure that you're conveying how something makes you feel versus saying, you make me feel this way, and you did this, and you did that, and you, right? So you want to say, I. And that's a part of communication, right? You also have to know how you communicate, right? So we talk about ways of communication. Some people have a really strong or an aggressive come across. Some people are very quiet and they really don't talk much, right? And so you have to know, what type of communicator am I? You also have to know, for example, if someone is like, I don't get it, I don't understand you. You're always complaining, blah, 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 blah. You have to know how to say it in a different way. You also have to know that there are times where you can say something 50 million times, but sometimes some people are not ready to receive what you are saying to them in that time. And so you have to be able to say, okay, when I calm down, or when we can calm down and talk about this, let's come back to it. Relationships are work, even if it's with your children. building relationship with your children. It's work. So those are some of the things we talk about in our one-on-one meetings, right? Where we can really focus in on specific things that you're saying, hey, I need to talk about this.
Thank you very much. That's really useful information for a lot of women. But I am curious now to know, how do you work? How do you recruit women to be part of the program? How does it work? Like financially? How can it work if you want to like copy the system to a Malagasy women group, for example?
Mm-hmm. Well, Black Infant Health, there's no financial aspect to it. So there's no financial eligibility attached to it. As long as you identify as Black or African American, from the age of 18 to like 50, qualifies you to be in our program. And so it's just, and also how we recruit them. There's a WIC program, Women's, Infants, and Children program in our building. They refer a lot of ladies to us. We have other agencies that we collaborate with, Healthy Black Families, for example, Women's Daytime Drop-In Center, Lifelong. They refer clients to us. And so what we do is we just either email or we call. And we talk about the program and see if it's something they feel like they want to be a part of. And we just sign you up. So the sign up, there's a number of questions, and we just sign you up. And then from then on out, you're in our program. We give reminder calls when we're going to meet and reminder emails when we're going to meet. And we also have like extra curricular or celebratory programs that we do as well. So we celebrate the holidays by having a toy giveaway for the children. And we celebrate Thanksgiving by giving turkey baskets. So it's a big turkey that everyone gets and all the vegetables and fruits to go with it. We celebrate Mother's Day. And then, ladies come out and you get a plant, or we just have a nice celebration to honor, right? One of the things that is important is that African Americans, Black women have to get back to celebration. We have to get back to celebrating, right? Because that is a very important of us as a people. We like celebrations. We like colors and music and right drums and dancing. And we have to learn to get back to it. I remember years ago, a mom would celebrate her daughter when she started her menstrual cycle, because now this is another time of life that's coming in. And the dynamic of the relationship shifts a little bit, right? No more little bitty baby, right? So that is to be celebrated, however you want to celebrate it. Maybe you take her to dinner, maybe, right? And you begin to talk about her and her body. What does that mean? Right? And with the men used to do a rites of passage type of celebration. And I'm sure it still happens in some cultures. But they used to celebrate the young men who their voice goes, from light and squeaky and it starts getting deep, right? And there's, all of a sudden this different tone comes out, right? Growing up. And so it is wonderful to have another male take them out and say, hey, you're growing up, man, and you're going to have these thoughts and these feelings and these wild hormones, and to be able to talk to them about contraceptives and you know what I mean, and fatherhood and that type of thing, and how you want to wait, and let me show you how to tie a tie, right? You're getting ready to go to your prom, right? So those things are important. We have to get back to celebration. And so those type of celebrations are built in our program, not the rites of passage ones, just the Mother's Day, the Black History, the skits, the toy giveaways. So those things are celebrations that we have in our program.
Wonderful. One last question. Can you share, because most of the time women, especially mother, are overwhelmed by a lot of things like parenting, work, housework, and all these things. And you talked about self-care. Would you share one or two example of women's history that came to your program? How does she like changed her personal health and the relationship she has with her family, her kids, or her husband through your program? How does it change?
So you're talking impact. How has it helped them
Yeah.
change the relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes we don't always get that feedback.
Mm.
Sometimes we get the feedback through the surveys that we hand out, the evaluations after the group sessions.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the women kind of let us know that, oh, you guys talked about this last week, and I used it on my boyfriend. I talked to him. I used the I statement on my boyfriend. And so it's a matter of, and saying, how did that work for you? Did it, you know what I mean? What impact did it have? Did it change the level of arguments that happen sometimes? Were you able to kind of say, okay, I'll come back to this when I'm right? And so that is the only way that we kind of get back, is if our moms and our pregnant women come and let us know, you talked about this in one of the sessions and I used it. Is it working? Yes, it helped. It helped a lot. So it's application, right? It's advocacy. We talk about advocacy and how to, for example, go to a school to advocate for your child. You know what I mean? And some steps that you can take in doing that. And so when we get the feedback of, okay, is that working? Let me follow up with you in a me time, a one-on-one. Did you do these steps? All right, how is that working? If not, let's find another way. Let's find something else. So yeah, when we get the feedback, that's a type of feedback we get. It's a feedback of application. Yes, you talked about this in session and I did it. You talked about breastfeeding and how the dad can be a part of breastfeeding. Meaning, okay, now dad, you hold the baby and birth the baby.
Mm-hmm.
So that they can feel a part of what's going on. And then for them to turn around and say, yep, I did it. I sure did, right? So that's how we get that feedback.
Thank you so much. Last, I usually ask that at the end of an interview with my invitee. What message do you think important to give to women, especially mothers in a difficult relationship, like to improve their situation?
That's kind of hard to say because I don't know what the difficulty is, right? I don't know if the difficulty is around communication. I don't know if the difficulty is around, we'll just say, domestic violence, right? So I'm not sure what the difficulty is. In general, self-care. You have to know when to step away. You have to know when to let things go. and not be argumentative, right? Because it's about self-care and self-preservation. You have to, number one, define what is healthy and unhealthy for you, right? And if your unhealthy is outweighing your healthy, you have to know when it's time for you to let go, because that's a part of self-care too. You have to know when to say no to people. It's like, I can't do that, or I can't do that right now, or okay, I'll do it, but you're going to have to give me a week or 2 weeks to get it back to you, right? All of those things are a part of self-care so that you don't feel overwhelmed and stressed out. And did I mention stress management was one of our sessions, right? We talk about how do you manage stress, because it's going to be there, it's going to come. How do I manage it? Well, and the first thing of managing it is knowing what stresses me out. That unhealthy relationship is stressing me out. I'm not getting any help. They're not helping me raise the children. They're not, okay, let's set some boundaries. We need to talk and set some boundaries. If I'm at work, you cook. If you're at work, I cook. You get the groceries this week, right? And those type of things may sound silly, but they really have to be talked about, because people set up expectations. And if you're always doing something, right? If you're always the one cooking, always the one going to get the groceries, always the one doing the washing, the person in the relationship with you is going to be like, well, you seem to do things just fine. I don't need to help. But you have to set that boundary. And sometimes things end up the way we set it up. So you have to start off talking like that. I work these amount of hours and I'm really exhausted when I get home. So maybe what we have to do is prep some food the day before to put in the refrigerator. There are some items we're going to freeze. So all we have to do is take it out, defrost it, put it in a microwave, whatever it is, and heat it up, and there's dinner, because I'm exhausted when I get home.
Thank you very much. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. It was really useful, even if the context is quite different from the American women and the Malagasy women. I'm sure we have some lesson to take from it. So thank you very much for your time, your sharing. And I myself can give my feedback. I really learned a lot with the program. So thank you so much.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. And anytime, reach out.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Hope to see you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.